Hi, Utkarsh. How are you?
So I'm absolutely fine.
Are you comfortable?
Yes, absolutely.
We'll begin with the interview first. As soon as we're done, we'll give you detailed feedback about your performance. Okay.
Right.
Okay. We'll start with the introduction. Please introduce yourself.
So my good name, myself Utkarsh Anand. I was born in Chandigarh, raised in Jammu since my sixth standard. Have completed my 12th standard from Delhi School, Jammu. After that, I completed my Bachelor of Technology in Electronics and Communication from Sri Mata Vaishno Devi University, Petra. Was that I briefly worked for Central Bank of India in the clerical cadre for about 4 months in 2017. After that, currently, I'm posted as an administrative officer in Jammu in National Insurance Company Limited, which is a public sector undertaking of the Government of India.
Utkarsh, what is the meaning of this line?
Against progress, Unnati.
Unnati, progress, prosperity.
Yes, sir.
Do you think this name suits you as a personality?
Yes, sir, I hope so.
Okay. Give it a chance. If you had to take some other name for yourself, what would that be?
Another name, I would say Abhay, sir.
Abhay.
Yes, sir.
Why is that?
Because my parents wanted to name the second word as Abhay, but that turned out to be a daughter, so they named her Ava, which means sheen, light, and Abhay means somebody who's neither or who does not fear anything.
Although you said you were born in Chandigarh, are you aware of that Chandigarh was known as the dream city of Jawaharlal Nehru?
Yes, sir.
Why? For what reasons?
So, our former Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru ji in 1948 made sure that he wanted to have a city which would cater to the world and would be an architectural marvel for the new upcoming nation, which was an independent nation 1247. So he appointed two American architects to build in a new city for the country, which would be an architectural urban model for the rest of cities to follow. But in between, the American architect died of illness or whatever. So they changed it to another French architect called Le Corbusier, who eventually built the city into a architecture in modern architecture marble.
They had this master plan for Chandigarh in which the design of the Chandigarh would be in accordance with the parts of the human body. Are you aware of that?
No, sir, not really, sir.
Okay. No. Yeah, sure. Tell me how Chandigarh is performing on the HDI.
So it's the second highest in the country at 0.776, only after Kerala. It has immense amount of highest standards of health and education indicators in the country, with 97% of the population being urban, and of them 90% being literate.
And what are the reasons for the high performance of Chandigarh in Human Development Index?
So it's because of three governments that are trying to put in their efforts in the same direction, namely the Union Government of India, the capital of Chandigarh being the capital of the Prince State of Haryana and Punjab have also put in their efforts in bringing the city to the highest standard possible.
You mentioned Haryana. In the 15th Finance Commission, Haryana has been used as a reference point for income distance while calculating the horizontal devolution of funds from the center's divisible pool. Why was Haryana chosen for that, not Goa per se?
So I'm sorry, I don't know what it.
HDI index is a part of the HDR report. And what other indices that do we have in the HDR report?
HDI is one of them, which is dependent upon three indices, mainly education, health, and gross the longevity of the person, driven by life expectancy. And under that, education for people up to gross enrollment ratio, health indicator would be calculated by the mortality, health education and health education purchasing power parity in terms of amount of income that they generate. That was given by Mehbubullah. He's a Pakistani economist, assisted by Mr. Amrita Sen, which was an Indian economist.
Health would be seen by which of the indicators?
By the life expectancy of the person.
Life expectancy at birth or life expectancy at age 1?
and birth.
And what about education?
Education would be by gross enrollment ratio, and yes, and literacy at one point.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, and gross enrollment ratio I'm sure of, but the maximum is that it has been given, but education has also been divided into three parts. So gross enrollment ratio would be one of them, and the rest of the two are, I don't really remember.
And you mentioned GNI per capita on purchasing power parity.
Yes, sir.
What is purchasing power parity?
So purchasing power parity tries to bring in, as the name suggests, an equivalence in the market. As such, economies are treated on the basis of market economy, as calculated by International Monetary Fund. But purchasing power parity tries to bring in a level of equivalence among economies on the basis that they can find a particular basket of goods amongst which will cost the same in their country and in our country based on their own respective currencies. Like, for example, a basket of good in America and a basket of good in India would cost different amounts, but that has to be brought in equivalence with the amount of income that each country is bringing and the amount of currency that each person is bringing.
So as per the purchasing power parity, what is the value of $1 in terms of rupees?
So that can be calculated, but according to purchasing power parity, our economy jumps a little to become the number third in the country, and that will give us a pool of around $6 trillion, as opposed to $2.5 trillion as per IMF.
So it is around $1 equal to 21 to 24 rupees. So that is at the purchasing power parity. Okay, tell me, we have this concept of exchange rates that can be determined by the central bank, that can be determined by the market. But the IMF speaks about dirty floating with respect to India. What is so dirty about the floating exchange rate of India?
So the floating rate in India has been managed by RBI, wherein RBI tries to step in only when there is extreme volatility or the Indian currency is under threat via market forces such as global crude oil shock or etc. things. So IMF, obviously against, has a bias towards India also, because mainly they really want to see that India should not have a floating exchange rate or RBI should not step in wherever there is volatility in the market. So that is why they call us as a dirty exchange rate.
Are you aware of the crawling peg exchange rate system?
No, sir. No, sir.
Tell me about your family background, Utkarsh.
So I come from a middle class family. My father has retired as regional manager of New India Insurance Company Limited at Scale 5, which is a PSU of the Government of India. My mother is a housewife, and my sister is currently working in Bank of India.
So your father also has been part of the insurance sector, and so are you right now.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned PSUs. Give me the difference between a PSU and a CPSC.
So CPSCs are mainly funded under the Department of PSUs are dependent in the Ministry of Finance, and they are not given any Mini Ratna or Maharatna statuses. They are dependent only under Ministry of Finance and under Department of Financial Services, which would include public sector banks, public sector general insurance companies, and life insurance companies.
And what about
On the contrary, CPSCs are under, I really don't know the name of the ministry, but I know that there's a difference. And they are the pillars of the Indian economy, so which were thought of like in the second five-year plan to be the strongholds of the Indian economy from which the other things should flow. And they should really hold the demanding heights of the Indian economy.
Do we have state government undertakings as well as local body undertakings in the categorization of PSUs?
Yes, sir. We have state PSUs as such as JKFED, which is J&K Fertilizer. That will be one of the examples, and there are other PSUs also in the state government. The state government is allowed to create such PSUs.
You mentioned Maharatna and Navratna status. Can you give me the rationale behind this classification of categorizing these PSUs into Maharatna and Navratna categories?
That was basically done to mention the status and the authority and the power that a particular company holds in the economy and the strategic value that they can provide to the economy, such as the 9 Maharatnas will, more than 9, actually 16 Maharatnas will give them, such as Coal India Limited, Indian Oil Corporation Limited. They are ONGC, etc. They are the towering heights of the Indian economy, and they are the uh, actually they are the biggest taxpayers to the government, and they have extreme amounts of profit. And so the government needs to strengthen them as well as save them from market competition a little bit, but also bring them to the market efficiency by bringing them bringing in market competition. On the contrary, Navratna and Miniratna statuses, as their name suggests, are lower than Maharatna, but they are given statuses so as to give them a bit of strategic autonomy so that they can take their decisions on their own category and not depend on government of India or the world to intervene.
Okay, is it necessary to become a mini Ratna company first, and then you would be eligible to become a Navratna company?
So I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm thinking about it.
Tell me that IRDA has recently released guidelines for the insurance sector. Are you aware of that?
Yes, sir.
What do we call that?
So IRDA wants to have a composite insurance license wherein an agent can work as both as in general insurance company as well as life insurance company. Also, they want to give that composite insurance license to insurance companies also. And under the plan of the government of India, maybe LIC would be the first one to be given both life and as well as general insurance company license. But those are all rumors.
Are you aware of this phrase that the government has been using for Saral Jeevan Bima?
Saral, yes, sir, I know about it.
Yeah, please elaborate on that.
Saral Jeevan Bima is for people who are below poverty line, so that they can put in a bigger amount of premium to the insurance company, and on the contrary, they'll be given life insurance for their life. For example, there is Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, which will have 20 rupees of premium, and they'll be giving 5 lakh rupees of insurance per year.
Is it possible for one person to actually go for 2 life insurance policies and claim both of them?
Yes, sir. So as life cannot be quantified in amounts, that is why the government of India has an IRDA has specifically told that a person who holds multiple life insurances from multiple life insurance companies are eligible to claim. They're allowed to claim from both the amounts, and both the amounts will be cumulatively added without any lasting limit.
How does the insurance company decide on the amount of premium?
So it is actually based upon a very difficult science called actuarial sciences, wherein an actuary appointed by the organization dwells in on the premium charts, the claim outgo, and the management expenses that a company has to entail in the forthcoming year, based upon the ensuing year on which it has dependent upon the claim settlement ratio, the amount of claim paid, the premium procured, and the management expenses. Post that, it dwells and creates a premium rate.
Utkarsh, we all know that India's insurance sector has been growing dynamically in recent years, but its part in the global market share is abysmally low. What are the reasons for that?
So the first would be, I would say, is the ignorance of the Indian population towards insurance as a social security net provider. Also, the government's plans to increase the number of insurance companies without their outreach to be at the lowest point possible is one of the other reasons. The concept of micro offices, which was started in around 2009, was a step in the right direction, which has been closing in the recent past because of the performance indices of the companies at heart. The micro offices used to be provided at village levels, at district headquarters, at areas which were unbanked and uninsured, so as to provide insurance penetration at the grassroots level. For that, we need to have more number of insurance companies and more number of rural insurance officers. Also, the cross-selling would be one thing which could be helpful by ensuring that regional rural banks and local area banks are given insurance products and made to send to the customer.
There have been talks about creating a UPI-like moment for the insurance sector. Have you heard about that?
Yes, sir, I'm not sorry. So it's
You have
basically something to planning.
yeah, please.
Does it relate to something being insurance being sold at uh, gas agencies and all those other areas?
It is like what the UPI has done for the digital payment ecosystem, like that for the insurance sector as well.
Like bringing in web aggregators such as Policy Bazaar and PhonePe? Like,
Yeah.
all right. So the government of India has tried to bring in other web aggregators such as PhonePe, Policy Bazaar, and others such as to ensure that a person can buy an insurance policy on the click of a button from his phone. As phone has become a very ubiquitous thing because of Jam Trinity, which is Jandan Aadhaar and Mobile Trinity, wherein a lot of the population which was unbanked has been brought into the financial inclusion through Aadhaar and mobile authentication and giving them a bank account. So now the next step would be the logical next step would be to bring them into the social security net. And for that, the government of India has tried to bring in web aggregator so that the agency commission would be brought down and people can be given policy at much cheaper rates. So also through micro insurance.
All right. You have your BTech in electronics and communication. It is from Shri Mata Vaishno Devi University. Okay. Tell me about what have you heard about space-based communication?
The space-based communication has been brought to the forefront by Mr. Elon Musk by his company called SpaceX, where they're trying to at least send at least 3,000 space satellites in space, and so that people can use the internet on phones via satellite communication and not via Wi-Fi or 4G spectrum, but based on satellite communication. We have a lot of satellites should be connected together so that can cater to the whole world at the same time, the whole of Earth at the same time.
But there have been many criticisms about launching these many satellites in the lower Earth orbit.
Yes, sir.
What is the reason for that?
So it could be threefold. One, it can come into the security issues of the other countries. That it could become also a military installation, or that could become a surveillance kind of satellite issues also. Second, the amount of debris that these satellites will create in the long term can also hamper the Earth's rotation or the rotation of the near Earth objects. And third would be that the satellite providers such as the nation states that have their own space programs such as India, with its superb organization such as ISRO, would be given a death blow because if they want to do it in the next quarter or whatever, or the next decade, so that will not be a feasible option because SpaceLink or the SpaceX would create it at such lower cost because of being a private enterprise, also being funded by the government of America, which is obviously a bigger economy.
Yeah. You mentioned debris in your answer to this question. Are you aware of the concept of Kessler syndrome?
Kessler syndrome? No, sir, I'm not. Does it relate to astronauts being, what is it called? I'm sorry, I don't know.
It is the cascading effect wherein the part of the debris hits one satellite and it creates a cascading effect hitting another satellites in the orbit.
Okay. So I'm not it, but I agree.
Okay. What are the different technologies that we have to bring down the space debris?
So there is anti-satellite ASAT mission, which was Mission Shakti, which India has also become a proud part of. Like only 4 nations
was it
for India.
Was it meant to reduce the debris?
No, sir. It was meant mainly for anti-warfare and anti-surveillance and anti-spying, and any satellite which is brought into the low orbit of India, so as to have a check on or have wrong intention or malignant intention of hitting us with the wrong with a space mission. But it could also be molded when used for low Earth orbit space debris if it hampers our country or the world at large.
Elaborate on that. How can it be used to reduce the space debris in the orbit?
So lower Earth orbit, the space debris in the lower Earth orbit, which tries to, because it rotates throughout its life and it does not go away that easily because of the rotation of the Earth and the rotation of other planets around the Earth and the solar system. So that remains in the lower orbit, and because of various horizons and all those things, it can come hopefully close to our orbit, or can have a cascading effect of like climate change or things like those. So that if that has to be prevented, so we can use anti-satellite machine for that. Also, there are other things.
What was ASAT mission actually meant for?
So for preventing our nation state.
And how did we know that?
How did he do that?
What did we actually do in ASAT mission?
So that I know that it was useful for preventing any kind of air attack or space attack on us, or any kind of surveillance on us from any adversary, for any nation state or what matter.
Is it allowed to install conventional weapons in the orbit?
Conventional weapons. For example, but they're not allowed, I think, under some treaty. I'm not sure which.
Okay, you mentioned 4G spectrum. Give me the basic three basic differences in 4G vis-a-vis 5G.
So 4G has one band, 5G has three bands. Mainly the 4G has one band. It's called LTE, which basically develops over 3G, whereas 5G has three main band. One is at lower. I don't exactly know the exact figures, metrics that I will read, but this I know that 4G is basically for at a lower spectrum, and 5G gives them a high spectrum, and also that the amount is 1 Gbps for 100 Mbps for 4G, whereas 5G entails from 100 Mbps to 20 Gbps.
And what are the 5G challenges in India?
So first of all, would be that equipment has to be self. Huawei, who are the with which India has a problem, such as China, have brought in have tried to put in for bringing the architecture for 5G in India, whereas our own companies such as Jio and Airtel have tried to bring in the lead on, have tried to make sure that the whole of 5G that has to be brought into India has to be a very indigenous affair. On the contrary, the speed that has to be brought in needs to be commensurate with the great cost that the companies provide. And at the moment, 5G would cost a lot to the pocket of the Indian consumer, which has to be brought in line as was done for 4G spectrum.
Are you aware of this concept of nanoelectronics?
Yes, sir.
Please elaborate on that.
So nanoelectronics are all those electronic equipments which have size less than 1 nanometer, which is 10 raised to -9 meters. And they have their absolute utility in medical sciences, wherein absolute small carcinogenic products or any ailment which entails the use.
Is it less than 1 nanometers?
It is in nanometers. Okay. 1 to 100 nanometers. Yeah. Which is 10 raised to -9 meters. So it has its absolute utility in medical sciences.
There have been talks about nano pollution as well as a grey goose scenario in nanotechnology. Are you aware of that?
No, sir. Not.
We have been reducing the size of our transistors down to nanometers now. What was the concept of Moore's law that actually now has failed?
I don't know. This is based on electronics, so I'm a little weak in that. Nonsense. Also, I left my engineering in 2016, so to pay attention.
Utkarsh, what's your hobby?
So I'm an avid football watcher. English Premier League, of La Liga, of Spanish Premier League, of Italian Premier League, of all the top 5 European Premier League in the world. Sorry.
And what is your opinion about the GOAT debate?
So I'm a huge Ronaldo fan, but I understand. Hard saying it's Ronaldo. Why says I know that Messi is better.
There was a recent controversy regarding Manchester City breaking the rules of Premier League. Please elaborate on that.
So the Manchester City, after its takeover in 2009 by the Sheikh of Abu Dhabi, has has broken all possible transfer records to bring in the best-in-class footballers throughout the world, including their latest buy in Haaland, Erling Haaland, who was brought in from Borussia Dortmund and has broken all Premier League records pertaining to the goals scored, the amount of chances created, and the percentage of realization of goals as compared to shots. So they've broken financial fair play rules which were brought in by the UEFA, which is the governing body for European football in the country, in the world. So they've invested a lot of money in their players, in their stadium, and also in their training grounds. So which is not commensurate to the league and it's not beneficial to the league as well. Hampers their competition.
What is your opinion about the controversy that football is being used as a means of sports washing in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, I know. So Saudi Arabia has been investing in buying football clubs such as Newcastle United, which was bought by the Emir of Saudi under the by the Crown Prince of Saudi called Mr. Mohammed bin Salman under the guise of having another company which had nothing to do with the Saudi Crown Prince. They want to bring in so sports washing would be Saudi Arabia has been questioned by America and other countries in the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, who was killed in Turkey on the behest of the Crown Prince, alleged behest of the Crown Prince, and for that they have tried to for that he had to face a lot of flack, especially from the Joe Biden administration, so as to curtail that and so as to not curtail his meteoric rise to the top of the world and top of his country. They have tried to buy other country or other sports clubs such as Newcastle United in the English Premier League. They have tried to be the brand ambassadors of Indian Premier League in this year, wherein they are trying to bring people to visit Saudi so as to ensure that they are a very open and inclusive society, which they're actually not under this Crown Prince. He has done really good work for women so as to allow them driving. But on the contrary, he has also maintained some conservative rules which are contrary to popular and democratic and modern values.
Utkarsh, which are the only two teams in the English Premier League that have won the treble?
Like Manchester United in 2000, in 2000, 1998. I'll tell you exactly. I know the dates also. So Manchester City has won it this year, 2023 season. But the Manchester United had won it in 1998. 1999. 99, 899, actually, sorry. Yeah. Okay, which is your favorite club? It used to be Manchester United for a long time before, but it has changed to Liverpool in the recent time because of your club. Marathon. In the recent times? To Liverpool. Because Mr. Jurgen Klopp is managing them since 2014. What is the nickname of Liverpool? The Reds.
Utkarsh, what challenges is India facing in qualifying for the World Cup?
Sir, for any sport to dwell in a country as big as our nation, it has to start from the ground up. And our country has brought in Indian Super League, which is a great initiative at the BS of the government and also at the BS of other entrepreneurs and celebrities that they try to bring in each club from each area of each state of the for the country and try to adopt them and bring in the sport of football, which is called the beautiful sport, to each nook and corner of the country. But the amount of people who've been choosing cricket and other sports over football are still a huge chunk. And it has to start. I would say the biggest issue currently would be the lack of spaces, public spaces in urban areas and in rural areas, which is curtailing the habit of football playing or any other sport for that matter.
You mentioned that Ronaldo, your heart says Ronaldo is a better footballer. What made you, why? What are the reasons for that?
So my first interaction to football was when he joined Manchester United way back in 2003. And at that time, I have to be honest about it, that only Star Sports used to come into India and La Liga I had no clue about. And back then, I was a huge Cristiano Ronaldo fan because he kept breaking records, just records in 2008 and 2009. And it's just that I was a huge Manchester United fan also because Beckham was there in 2003 and I was like 9 to 10 years old. That was that. And after that, post that, he became the highest ever paid footballer for a transfer fees, where he went to Real Madrid in 2009 for 80 million pounds. So that gave me the edge that he's the greatest footballer alive. Post that, he had the highest amount of goals for Real Madrid, made them win the Champions League for 4 seasons, 3 seasons consecutively. Since then, I know he's had a dip of form since he's gone to Juventus and post that Al Hilal, but not really. But when it was his time, he was the best at his business.
What is your optional, Utkarsh?
Anthropology.
Why did you choose anthropology? Is it because it was easy?
So for me, everything was a fresh start. So I will tell you, post doing my engineering as electronic communication was not a part of the syllabus of mains as an optional. So I had to either which way choose a subject which was either overlapping with GS or have a altogether different outlook. So I've gone through the beats of choosing PSI at first, geography second, but over the course of time, I could not have that kind of enthusiasm in reading it again and again. On the contrary, anthropology gave me because I've always liked biology, but while choosing non-medical in my 11th standard, I kind of left it. So that's why I wanted to have a rebrush of it. And when I did, I really found that interesting. I gave myself 10 days to read it. And when I found that myself interested in reading that, so I made sure I'll read it for a longer time.
Okay, tell me, what is anthropometry?
So anthropometry is utilizing the knowledge of anthropology in various fields such as sports anthropometry, which will help. It's called kinanthropometry, which it also entails making gloves, pads, helmets of the size of the person or the population that you're dealing with. Or it's called nutritional anthropometry, wherein you deal with the nutritional basis or nutritional indices of the population that you're dealing with.
Utkarsh, tell me, what role does the ethnography play in anthropological research?
So this I've read and I've written in my main examination also, but I've not read the rest, so I'll do it. I'm sorry.
Okay, tell me, how has globalization impacted the local cultures?
Yes. So should I talk about India particularly or world over?
No, Indian local cultures.
Yeah, no. So sir, globalization started on the shores of India via colonialism. They were the first that brought in the tribal people or the people who were in various pockets of the country in inaccessible areas such as Kashmir Valley or the deep forest or central Indian region or the coastal regions or as such the islands of India or the northeast states of India. Those are brought into contact with the globalized world via colonialism. When the first colonial masters came to the shores of India, starting with the Portuguese and ending with the English in 1900. So they tried to change their traditional way of using the forest and the traditional symbiotic relationship with the forest. The colonial masters brought in contact the people of the tribes or the tribal people they were globalized by colonialism, wherein their traditional outlook of symbiotic relationship of interacting with nature was changed, and they were restricted from using their forest land via by bringing the money lenders to the forest and using the timber that was available for their own greedy needs, whereas having no concern for the environment at large.
Tell me, what are some current emerging research areas in anthropology that you find interesting?
So one would be that recently in Kiladi findings of Tamil Nadu, it has been brought out that Sangam, before this Sangam era also, there used to be an urban civilization held in Tamil Nadu, which has been brought in just in like 2 months ago. The Archaeological Survey of India has brought in the Kiladi findings, wherein it has been shown that maybe the urban civilization would have existed before the Indus Valley civilization on the shores of our country. The second would be that Rakhigadi has been told to have a much wider and a much older region as compared to Mohenjo-daro, which was given, or Harappa, which were the pillars of the Indus Valley civilization as known since 1924. So also I would like to say that the human genome project that has been part of the biology, or it has to be brought in by that, has helped, it will help in the future to know about the medical conditions, to know about the life expectancy of various populations of our country currently has, and the various populations.
That is a 23-year-old project, isn't it?
Yes. It was started in 1990, but it has been imbibed by there's also an Indian Genome Project, which the government of India has tried to follow some of the human genome project, which will help classify Indian races also.
When we already have had the Human Genome Project, we have mapped the entire genome of human race. Then why did we require an Indian Genome Project?
So because India, by its very nature, is almost the size of a subcontinent, and it has various topographies, various climates, and each population has different ways of interacting with nature and different issues with the environment. So if we map the genome of each race or each subpopulation of our country better, we'll be able to deal with the life expectancy, we'll be able to deal with the drug manufacturing of each population better, and that will have a lasting effect on our human development index and also our health index.
Are you aware of this another project by the name of Earth Biogenome Project?
No, sir, I don't know about it.
We also have this Indian Human Microbiome Initiative. Are you aware of that? We also have this project by the name of Indian Human Microbiome Initiative.
No, sir, I don't know about it, sir. Sorry. No.
Can you give me the reason that why civil servants get more respect and more recognition than scientists?
I'll tell you, sir. So civil servants are the face of the government, and they implement policies at the ground level, and a lot of population is actually concerned with the day-to-day benefits that they avail from the government, or the day-to-day needs that they have from the population at large, or their servants at large, or their government officials at large. So civil servants being civil services by its very nature dwells it from the local ground level to the highest echelons of the country, and they have a wider reach also, and the wider strata to work for also. Scientists, on the contrary, they help in their own right, have the authority to develop better things for the population at large, but eventually it has to be policy formulated and implemented by civil servants.
Do you think it is right that they should get more respect and recognition than scientists?
No, sir, they should not. I think it should be a bit of a balance. Also, that scientists should be brought to the forefront, like which has been done by the fourth pillar of our democracy, called the media, such as Mr. APJ Abdul Kalam becoming the president of the country, being a out-and-out scientist, leading two of the highest organizations possible, such as ISRO and DRDO, and being a people's president because of his very nature of being a people's president and a human and a humble person that brought the scientific community to the forefront. It has to start from the top, and then also in the recent times, I would say that in 2020 when the COVID hit us, people were really concerned about their lives and they believed only in experts. So scientists and doctors came to the forefront then also. I personally would like to tell that I followed a Pakistani doctor called Mr. Farhan. I'm not really sure. He became a hit on the Twitter because he was a US citizen of Maryland, and he was a JC, so that's why maybe we related with him more. And I followed him through and through, and maybe that's saved a lot of lives. And I tried to tell what he literally was telling us in our offices also. So maybe we had COVID appropriate behavior, and that tried to protect us from the continuous waves.
You mentioned some social media platforms. Nowadays, civil servants are too much active on their social media platforms. Do you think it's a good idea?
It's a double-edged sword per se. I would say that telling you about yourself, telling about your personal stuff is something that you should really not do. Telling about the initiatives and how you're implementing them is a really good idea. Telling about your strategy to crack this examination for aspirants who are willing to join the services is a good idea. On the contrary, telling about your social life or the perks that the job entails would be a very narrow and a very non-mindful idea of a civil servant who's given this huge platform to talk with the people.
Okay, tell me, what are your biggest weaknesses? 3 of your biggest weaknesses
In life,
in your personality.
one of them would be, sir, that when I speak too fast when I know of something. That I'll try to slow down. Second of all, right now, because of the interview that entails and the ensues, so that has been hampering my head. So I think about things that matter to me a lot. I think that one should be a little more free flowing. And third, I would say that third, not really, sir. I would say, Baki, you will tell me, sir. Really not sure.
Would you go for civil services? You would have a good career in your own engineering background as well, and you're already employed in a PSU of Government of India. Why would you choose civil services?
Sir, having served in national insurance and also in a bank, so I have seen up close and personal people and their issues on ground. I've been lucky enough that I've been posted in my own state for the last 5.5, 6 years that I've been working. And that I understand that insurance and banking having had their own benefits to people that are concerned with it. But still, the spectrum of the kind of opportunity that civil service provides me with is immense. The amount of uh, what is it called? The amount of impact that I will be able to make as a civil servant would be immense. That any field that I'll get, also banking and insurance by their own nature are very monotonous, and you deal with a particular subject. On the contrary, as a civil servant, you get to live a very diverse life and also try and help a bit and excel a bit. On that note, sir, I would say that the last 5.5 years that I've worked in, I would say that an accountable officer is much better than an intelligent officer. So I'll try to bring in that philosophy.
My last question to you, Utkarsh, would be why should we select you?
So, so I think that you have checked my knowledge twice now in mains examination. I cleared it in 2021 also and in 2022 also. Last time I missed it by a whisker, maybe because of lack of personality. I've tried to improve that by speaking slow, by trying to put my words across better, try to put my thoughts across better. I'm a wise man in the last 6 months that I've put in. Also, the last 6 years that I've seen the functioning of a government department up close and personal. I know what all needs to be done better and what all needs to be continued for the betterment of the society at large.
Okay, your interview is done. Before we end the session, do you want to share anything?
It was a very grilling session, sir. I would say that you checked each and every part of my personality, my drafts that I've written, and obviously, sir, it's going to make sure that I read much better for the interview that is going to happen. I'm really thankful for you questioning me about this space things and this electronics thing. I'm going to have a real like brush up towards that, because the rest of the things I will study anthropology and the basic GS I will obviously study, and that everybody will study. But my weaker subjects would be that ECE and space things that obviously I have to give them a real brush up, and I will do that.
I have your feedback ready. It has been a very good experience talking to you, Utkarsh. You're an amazing candidate, and you have a very good chance this year. Have you given the interview of the last attempt?
Yes, sir. Sir, I missed the bus by 1.5 marks in open merit category.
How many marks did you have in the interview?
I had 173, sir.
You're going to go and do a very good interview this year as well. But I would like you to just focus and just touch upon these few points that I have gathered for you. See,
We can start with your introduction. Yeah, please. You can write it down.
Sure, sir. I'm ready, sir.
Utkarsh, you mentioned your name and then that you're born in Chandigarh, raised up in Jammu, and the BTech in ENC, then CBI, then you talked about your National Insurance Company Limited, and that is where you have ended. So in a normal introduction, what we do is we give our name, we give the place of birth, and where we were brought up. That was fine. And then we come to educational background. Here, what you did is education ke baad, we generally talk about hobbies and interests that you have not mentioned in your introduction. Okay. So which you mentioned later on when I asked you about your hobbies, तो वो आपको introduction में ही डालना पड़ेगा. ठीक है? And be very sure about this fact that if you're comfortable, I believe you're comfortable both in insurance as well as your hobby. So you can go with any of them. जिसमें ज़्यादा comfortable हो उसको last पे mention कर लेना. So if you're more comfortable in hobby, then end with the hobby, your introduction. Okay. That would be one point. Second, a very good attempt.
So that the interview flows in that direction.
Exactly, yeah. Secondly, I asked you about what other name would you go for, and you attempted that question. Always attempt such questions. These are your full toss, balls. तो इनमें से you would reach 180, 185 अगर आपने ये सारे questions attempt किए, which I believe that you have attempted all the questions which I wanted you to attempt. तो अभय बहुत अच्छा जवाब दिया आपने. Nider wala was very good. Then we talked about Chandigarh. I deliberately said Jawaharlal Nehru. I just wanted you to repeat that, but you very safely said Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru ji. So that is very important that you have done that. And you have very good, decent knowledge about Chandigarh as well. Then HDI man, there were 2-3 points jahan par you gave a wrong answer and you just stuck to the wrong answer.
Right.
Because education wale dimension में, it's not gross enrollment ratio, it is mean years of schooling and expected years of schooling.
Right.
We don't have literacy rate in HDI. We have mean years of schooling and expected years of schooling, जिसका हम arithmetic mean लेकर education index निकालते हैं.
ठीक है sir.
Okay. Another point where you give a wrong answer was your ASAT वाला thing. वो मैं बाद में आऊँगा उस पर. तो पहले मैं sequence में हम चलते हैं. तो education, परचेजिंग फॉर पैरिटी भी आपका अच्छा आंसर था. डर्टी फ्लोटिंग पे बहुत अच्छा आंसर था. फैमिली बैकग्राउंड, PSU, CPSC, वेरी गुड. महारत्ना, नवरत्ना, वेरी नाइस. उसके बाद यू हैड अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एंड अ वेरी ब्यूटिफुल फ्रेज दैट यू टॉक्ट अबाउट दैट लाइफ कैन नॉट बी क्वान्टिफाइड इन अमाउंट्स. दैट वाज वेरी गुड. बहुत अच्छा एज होगा आपको. ऐसी चीज़ें डालनी चाहिए अपने आंसर में कहीं पर भी. बार बार आप क्या कर रहे थे, आप यू बीइंग अ लिटिल इनफॉर्मल इन योर आंसर्स. वो निकल जा रहा था आपको. लाइक कभी आप मतलब कर रहे थे, या कभी नहीं, कभी ना, कभी एलिजिबल, क्या कुछ ऐसा बोला आपने. यू ऑल्सो टॉक्ट अबाउट when I asked you a question, you said, I'll tell you, sir. It is a little informal. You're talking to somebody who's an IAS officer, served for so many years, he'll not be comfortable with "I'll tell you, sir" wala thing. ठीक है ना? Be a little cautious there. And when I asked you something, asked you a point, asked you a topic, you were trying to recollect, and you were like, "What is it called? Don't do this."
Right, sir.
So that has to be avoided. Premium wala question was very nice. Uske baad, what I liked about your answer regarding reasons for market share, why insurance does not have a global market share. तो आपने बहुत ही अच्छे से पॉइंट वाइज जवाब दिया है, जो मैं चाहूँगा आप वहाँ रियल इंटरव्यू में भी रिपीट करना, जहाँ पर द फर्स्ट वुड बी दिस एंड द सेकंड वुड बी दिस एंड द थर्ड वुड बी दिस. ये पॉइंट वाइज बहुत अच्छा एक स्ट्रक्चर्ड आंसर मिलता है. यूपीआई वाले सिस्टम पर भी आपने अच्छे से मैनेज कर लिया. नाउ लेट्स गो टू यू बीटेक एएनसी, जिसमें मैंने आपको पूछा कि डेबरी के बारे में आपको नहीं पता था. दैट वाज फाइन. आपने बोला आई डोंट नो हमेशा फैक्चुअल वालों में बताओगे आप, उसमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. फैक्चुअल वाले क्वेश्चन में आई डोंट नो बोलोगे तो दैट वुड सेटिस्फाई द ईगो ऑफ द पैनलिस्ट एज वेल, कि बोलना चाहिए, सारे सवाल का जवाब नहीं देना चाहिए. पर ये है कि ओपिनियन वाले क्वेश्चन और डैफ रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन पे कभी भी आप आई डोंट नो नहीं बोल सकते.
You have to answer.
You have to answer. Regarding ASAT is where you were not right about. ASAT was a missile that we sent. It was a joint mission by NASA as well as DRDO, जिसमें हमने अपना मिसाइल यहाँ पर लगाया और अपने ही मिसाइल से अपनी ही लाइव सैटेलाइट गिरा दी, जिससे डेबरी कम नहीं हुआ बल्कि डेबरी बढ़ गया. हाँ, तो इसमें हमारा क्रिटिसिज्म, ग्लोबली क्रिटिसिज्म हुआ कि इंडिया इज कमिंग अप विद दीज इनिशिएटिव्स जहाँ पर दे आर क्रिएटिंग अ प्रॉब्लम ऑफ स्पेस डेबरी. सो giving it an example on how to reduce debris would not be a right and a wise option. ASAT created debris, not reduced it. उसके बाद we have nano electronics, वो भी ठीक था आपका. EPL पे बहुत अच्छी नॉलेज है आपको. आई डोंट थिंक अब वहाँ पर कहीं पर भी आपको दिक्कत आएगी. एंथ्रोपोलॉजी पे वो भी आपका सही था. What you have done is सिविल सर्वेंट्स में जब मैंने आपको 2-3 क्वेश्चंस पूछा कि सिविल सर्वेंट्स काफ़ी एक्टिव है सोशल मीडिया पे, शुड वी डू दैट और नॉट, तो ये हैड अ बैलेंस्ड आंसर कि डबल एज स्वॉर्ड है. तो वेरी नाइस. तो आपने कोई एक साइड नहीं लिया. वीकनेसेस आपने जो बोली, यू स्पीक टू फास्ट, इट इज़ अ गुड वीकनेस. लेकिन एक चीज़ का ख्याल रखना है, वीकनेस हैज़ टू बी योर स्ट्रेंथ दैट कैन नॉट बी कंट्रोल्ड. Okay, suppose you work hard, so that's a strength, but you work too much, right? That's a strength that you're not able to control, जिसकी वजह से work life balance नहीं बैठ रहा आपका. So that's a good weakness to have. So weaknesses have to be strengths that cannot be controlled, and weaknesses have to be something that could be easily corrected.
Right, sir.
Yeah, and there should not be something any weakness related to the character जो आप बताए. ठीक है ना? You said I speak too fast, that's fine, it could be easily corrected. 2-3 weaknesses बोल देनी चाहिए. जैसे कि सर you can see that I'm not able to, I love food and I'm not able to control my diet, so that's a weakness. That could be easily corrected, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. Then we have why civil services. You started with a personal story that आपने काम भी किया, वहाँ पे देखा, पर्सनली देखा कि गवर्नमेंट डिपार्टमेंट्स में कहाँ पर इम्प्रूवमेंट की जा सकती है. That was a very good personal story. You always answer this question with an anecdote in your life. कोई anecdote, कोई personal touch, कोई ऐसा trigger point आपकी life में wherein you saw that no, I have to be a civil servant, otherwise I will not be able to solve these issues.
So can I put in one example? Should I tell you what it is?
Yeah, please.
So now that government is putting on this LED lights via EESL, so most of the times they get fractured by their own self and they get dimmed off or what they do not work. So we had put in an official complaint to the site called EESL under the Smart City project, where it was not happening. So one day I met with the cooperator, my father met with the cooperator, and we got the number of the Jammu Municipal Corporation MD, Mr. Rahul Yadav. So we put in a normal text message on WhatsApp saying that, sir, kindly intervene, it's not happening. And he made sure that people came into the next day, and it happened only on a message, on as simple thing called a WhatsApp message, through an anonymous person who doesn't even know. So I was thinking about putting in this anecdote, maybe because in my life, having a very urban lifestyle, this was the only thing that I could think of wherein a civil servant has actually helped us. Rest of the time, we get all the facilities procurement by our own self, and I don't think anybody is helping us there. But things that really matter to us would be electricity, nutrition,
And exactly.
You should mention that story, but be very cautious about this fact. Don't mention anything about power and prestige or authority related to these issues.
Yeah.
So that has never been the guiding force for my education.
That shouldn't be as well. Another thing that you said, the amount of impact that one can create and the diverse platform that we can get. It is fine. You are a perfect answer for that as well. And also about accountability and being intelligent. You would prefer to be an accountable officer. So that was very nice. Why should we select you? You have been a wise man. We have checked your knowledge and your means. But you also should show some moral integrity. That's mentioned in your syllabus. That you have to be empathetic towards others as well. You have to be considerable. I have to see that where you are a wise person, where you have a lot of knowledge, where you are suited for this job, there are 700 other candidates that are suited for the job as well. So you should also mention here a slight touch of moral integrity, wherein you can say that, however, I know my qualities and as far as I know myself, I can do a good job. But since I don't know my competitors, since I don't know my fellow colleagues, I would want the recruitment process to be fair to everybody, and may the best person be selected for the job. So that would show your moral integrity as well. And there have been instances wherein at the last question, the panel chairman sir would ask you is that your interview is over, and would you like to share something with the panel, which I asked you as well. So have a good answer for that was as well. Have a smile on your face. Be very thankful of the conversation that you've had with the panel. And I believe you're going to do wonders in your interview. You're a very good candidate and a best person suited for the job, inshallah.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. I'll come and meet you, sir, in Srinagar also, sir. It'll be so much travel.
When is your interview?
Sir, on 17th of August.
We'll send you a YouTube link of the conversation that we've had. I want you to watch all of that in raw form. That'll be entirely raw, unedited version. Then another edited version would also be made available to you on YouTube, okay?
Right. Thank you so much,
Okay.
sir. Can I have one more question, please?
Yeah, please.
Can I get a transcript of the interview questions general interview questions that a person can ask in their board? Do you have transcripts ready for those things?
I have a transcript of UPSC interview questions. If you want that, I can forward it to you.
Yes, sir. Please do. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. You take my number. You can text me directly. I believe that this is your attempt.
Thank you so much, sir.
All the best, and keep smiling. Don't laugh, but have a good smile.
Yes, sir. I'll acknowledge them with the smile, but not laugh too much.
Exactly. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.